The woman ripped off her clothes and stuffed them into her shoes before dropping them from the heights. It was the only way they could call for help, as they were trapped in a 600-meter tower. Nia was watching the shoes with binoculars, and she didn't know if the cell phone inside would send a signal. Just when the two desperate, when Bailey suddenly realized that there is a man under the tower, two people rushed to, desperately shouting, but due to the two people's position is too high tower under, the man did not hear their calls for help. Luckily, the dog noticed the sound from the top of the tower, but the owner turned around and told the dog to go home. Seeing that the man was about to leave, Bailey anxiously took off her shoes and threw them at the bottom, but the falling shoes did not attract the man's attention, so Bailey had no choice but to throw her last pair of shoes, and this time, she was lucky enough to hit the side of the iron frame. Hearing the sound of the dog also rushed to the side of the man, also seems to realize what he walked forward to pick up the shoes on the ground. He did not understand why the shoes were lost here. Seeing hope, the two men shouted from the top of the tower to get the man's attention, but the man didn't hear them and simply looked around before turning away. In order to seize this opportunity to call for help, Bailey anxiously took out a flare gun just as she was about to fire it, but was stopped by Nia because Nia realized that the man was not looking at this side of the room, and firing it now would only be a waste of an opportunity to call for help. Nia was surprised to find a caravan not far away that appeared to be preparing a barbecue. She decided to wait until it was dark before firing the flare so that they would have a better chance of being seen. So the two of them waited at the top of the tower until it was dark, and Bailey took out his flare gun and prepared to fire it. But when he pulled the trigger, the flare gun malfunctioned and didn't fire. The men were about to enter the caravan, and if they didn't fire it, they would miss their chance to call for help, and Bailey had to try again. The bright flare instantly attracted the attention of the men. Nia waved her cell phone at the top of the tower, and the two men on the ground really noticed the distress signal released from the top of the tower. After realizing that the other party noticed their own, two excitedly cheered, finally saved. But the fact is not what the two imagined, only to see the man with a crowbar pry open the glass of the car. To see this scene of Nia angry cursing, however, the man robbed the car after also gave a middle finger. The two men at the top of the tower were devastated. Not only had they not been rescued, but they had lost their car, and worse, they had nothing to call for help. Soon the next day they still hadn't been rescued, which meant that yesterday's cell phone had been broken and hadn't sent a message. But at this rate they were going to die of thirst up here. So Nia suggested going down to get their backpacks, and as long as the ropes were long enough to reach the backpacks, Nia was confident that she could get them up. But Bailey didn't want Nia to take that risk. But Nia's mind was made up, and if she didn't take the risk they'd die of thirst as well. So she secured the rope and Nia started descending towards the tower. But just as she got down a little, there was an accident. Luckily Nia had a strong mind and skill, so she didn't fall. She stabilized herself and started to descend step by step. In a short while she reached the backpack, but she was still a few meters away from it. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't reach the backpack. At this point Nia made a crazy decision to unlock the safety rope without any precautionary measures. Without any protection, Nia reached for the backpack, but it was still a few meters away. So she decided to swing and jump to get it. Translated with Deep L. Calm, free version.